it is Saturday, March 19th?
19th.
We really started planting crazy this past week, right?
Yeah.
Actually, when I say we, I really kind of mean you. We did the pastures last weekend, right? We got 2 new pastures where the turkeys are going to be, where we had the pigs in front, and then we have the other pasture, which is going to be for another group of feathered friends, right?
Yeah.
And we also have that next to Rosie's new area. But the pasture's already starting to grow in. We saw some sprouts yesterday. The alfalfa is finally coming up. You can see the little tiny first leaves that are starting to poke out of the ground. And I don't think I got it on camera, but we also have the barley that's starting to show as well. Challenge, of course, is lots of watering.
Yeah, I feel like all I do is water since the garden beds and the pastures need to be watered a couple times a day.
Yeah.
2-3 times a day. So I feel like I get done with watering and then I start all over again.
It's part of the deal when it comes to planting new crops because we have irrigation to a lot of this, but with seeds, they need to stay wet. And so you have to basically overhand water a few times a day until they get established. So you were busy planting this week, right? Want to share with everybody what you were planting?
Well, I got all 12 of our beds planted out. So our fall beds, I was able to get daikon, radish in those as a cover crop to go through the summer. And then the spring beds, I did, oh gosh, beets, radishes, peppers, cucumbers, some zucchini, and some different beans, and some basil.
And we're still not done.
No, we were gonna do some tomatoes too, but we were way late on that and didn't start those inside just because we're not set up for that yet. And
So we cheated.
yeah, so I went to I went to Home Depot this week just because Summer Winds is a little further for us, and I picked up some starts for tomatoes.
What do we have here? You got 2 there, which are determinate tomatoes, right?
Got 2 determinate and 1 indeterminate.
So this is the Bonnie Centennial, 100th anniversary, that's a determinate. This is the Celebrity Hybrid, another determinate. And then this one is the indeterminate, right? So you can see a lot bigger and pretty leggy. This is the Bonnie Original. Not too picky when it comes to tomatoes because it's not really our favorite thing, but we use it for salsa.
Yeah,
right?
Salsa, all canned just so that we have some canned tomatoes, maybe.
Not only are we getting the tomatoes planted, we have some in-ground planting that we want to test. That was in the old sorghum patch. We're going to show you what we're going to be doing there as well. So I say we get to planting.
Sounds good.
Yeah. This first one that you saw me planting, I popped off the 2 bottom branches because it was a little bit leggy. So I planted it just a little bit deeper. One of the things with tomatoes, they will root out basically from the main stalk or stem. And so I planted it a bit deeper so that it wasn't too whippy because we will get some wind on these. And it'll also help to just solidify this particular tomato. This was the indeterminate tomato, so this is the one that can continue to grow if we can get it to throughout the summer and into the fall. The area behind me here is where we had the sorghum last year. We are finding that the sorghum is a little perennial for us here. We had a little stack of it that was on the original pig area from last year, and it is starting to come back, which is kind of cool. So my guess is we'll have the same thing going on with the sorghum that's underneath all of this mulch. The area that we're working in is a rectangle, and from what I recall, I want to say it's about 32 feet wide, and I think it's 48 feet deep. So we've broken it out into quadrants. There's 8 quadrants, and in each corner and also in the middle, we're gonna be planting something that was gifted to us. And Martin, just want to thank you again. You sent us some sunchokes, some Jerusalem artichoke, and it looks like they're actually starting to sprout. So we are going to be breaking these apart and we're putting them in each corner. These may eventually be, well, permanent or perennial for this area, which is fine because we know we can use it as livestock fodder, and of course we can transplant it from there. Worms just make me happy. Super, super happy. Stay right in there, dude. We got the sunchokes planted in each one of the corners, and every single time we pulled back the wood chips, we found our beautiful little garden helpers here. If you guys remember, at the end of summer before winter, we put all of the sorghum down, and the only thing we did to seed this with worms, besides the sorghum being in there, was to put a little bit of composted pig manure in a few different spots, just basically a shovelful, and it was not in these corners. So to see the amount of worm activity we're seeing in the corners away from those areas where we basically seeded these worms is really cool. I mean, I geek out when it comes to this stuff. I'm not sure about you guys, but I definitely do. And I really love seeing these guys because this is automatic fertilizer for all of these plants. Look at that. What we have planted here, you guys saw the sunchokes go in. We have watermelon, cantaloupe, we have black beauty, zucchini, we have patty pan squash, we have some pumpkin, we have some butternut squash, some yellow crookneck squash, and I think that's it. So a combination of some harder, more durable types of crops that we're hopeful we can obviously take for ourselves and then maybe have some for sale as well. This was a test for us with the sorghum that we grew all last summer, you know, putting that down and then seeding just a handful of scoops of our pig manure that was mixed with wood chips that did have worm activity. And I can tell you, everywhere we dug today, we ran into worms. Sometimes a lot, sometimes just a couple, but every single hole had worms in it. I've got a good shot of where we found worms underneath the leftover sorghum root ball. Hopefully we've got a good shot there for you where you can see we pull that up out of the ground, and we had to be careful because we were finding worms right up into the roots, which is exactly what we want. And to give you guys an idea of the amount of worm activity, this came from, I would say, about 1.5 holes. That is what we're looking at. This is a test for us just to see what we can do. This is just over the winter and keeping this area moist. We've got about a foot of wood chips or so on top of those flattened sorghum. The sorghum continues to break down. The worm activity is amazing. We have these annual crops in here. I think at some point in time, you guys know us, perennial crops are destined for this area as we continue to build soil. But to see this, that is just incredible. I'm so excited. Oh, and then of course, these are gonna definitely be transplanted. We've got some garden beds that need some worms, so I think these guys are heading that way. Wrong way. We got a few things done. The planting is basically done.
Oh yeah, that was that was big today.
Right?
Yeah.
So I know one thing we did go back and do after we got all of the squash and watermelons and everything planted is we did plant some blackberries. Had to get some perennials into that old sorghum area, especially seeing the soil that's being created and having the worm activity in there. To see that was amazing.
Yeah.
And then we also had to get the nuggets onto pasture, which is great to see them.
Oh, they were just on top of each other in that brooder. It was way overdue.
And I mean, it was a madhouse this morning, just trying to get them fed, you know, just jumping on top of each other.
Yeah, it's been crazy this week with them.
One of our gray turkeys decided she wants to be a mama. So they had two of them over there, basically both wanting to be mamas, I think. And so we've been collecting those eggs to incubate them.
We got Rosie's house delivered last night.
That's right.
So we got a little kid playhouse that for her.
Yep, so she's got a nice little house. It's definitely warming up, heating up as far as the fruit trees are concerned. They are exploding with growth. We're literally surrounded by hundreds of mulberries right here in this little nook. I think we only have a couple more that have not broken yet.
Yeah, there's just a few of the stone fruit, maybe a couple of pears.
So just want to thank you for joining us today. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. We'd love to have you as a subscriber here. We cover a lot of things. Fruit trees and growing food is really one of them. And share the content. If you know anybody that's into this kind of thing, it definitely helps us when you share it. Questions or comments, you know those go in the comment section down below. And our Amazon shop, I'll leave a link down in the description. A free, painless way to help support the channel. If you start with that link, it doesn't matter what you buy, you help to support us here. So just want to thank you for joining us today and remind you, if we can farm on the edge of nowhere,
so can you.
Oh, I spoke too soon.
I was like, right there
There's
too.
another one. I'm so excited. I know. Aren't you excited too, Cuddle? I know my hand or my butt is gonna go down on something pointy.
Yep.
Ugh.
Pointy or
Oh.
pokey?
I can't, or, well, I guess pokey. I don't want either one.